I kept you guys waiting way more than long enough to actually talk about this series, but yes, here we are, Boku no Hero Academia, My Hero Academia. I'm finally going to be starting talking about this stuff on my channel, and I'm deciding going to be talking about it from chapter 1 to the current stuff, which I believe recently just hit chapter 40, so we've got quite a lot of material to talk about. This is probably going to be my longest one that I talk about so far in the series. Now, one thing that I have to get straight up first throughout this, before I even begin this, I have read already the first maybe 20 chapters of Academia. I know I've read quite a bit. I believe I did an impressions video on it a long time ago, and I had read some of the latest stuff since I had the Shonen Jump sort of like app where they do show you some of the Academia chapters, and boy, yeah, I can definitely say there's a more reason for me to get into the series because it's been getting godlike at the moment. And not to mention as well, I have also read his other series, Barrage, which I actually own the first 2 volumes of, which I really did enjoy. So I'm definitely going to come into this review basically comparing a lot of the first chapter of Barrage to the first chapter of Academia. So we get to start off with the singer that our main hero, who I shall call from now on Deku, because, you know, I do like Izuku or Midoriya, but like, I think one thing that can be said, everyone calls him in the series Deku, and I think it's a much more easier name to remember than Midoriya or Izuku. And definitely one thing I would like about starting from chapter 1 is that he is a normal human being, and like everyone in his class actually has these things known as quirks. They're like these cool ass like powers, and that's the thing, he really wants to be a superhero. He really wants to like be the cut above the rest, you know, and he kind of had to accept reality, which is another reason why I think like why this did so well. Is like, what happens if like someone who's accepted normal reality finally got that chance to actually be someone, to be something bigger? And even seeing like sort of people like as well, when you see like one of his like rivals, you see like Bakugo there who's like tormenting him, saying like, what can someone like you who hasn't even got a quirk do compared to someone who like me who's got like explosive powers and just like fuck with healers? Like, I kind of like that, definitely about that. And one thing that definitely stands out with this series, and that definitely I noticed that from the start when we read Barrage, that this guy's art is completely different from anyone else you get from Jump. Like the characters, expressions, the faces, just everything. It looks great, and it's just like, one thing is saying like, even though I think it is like mother and father both had quirks, he just didn't have it. It's like there's like something to do with like these joints or something, so he doesn't have like any kind of quirk or individuality as well. It's like, you know, and it just like really kind of was a bit sad to see that he's just there as like a kid like on his computer, and he's just crying and saying, you know, heroes are really cool, and it's like his mom's just breaking down saying, I'm sorry, I wish I could do something better, but it's like I couldn't at all. And then shit just gets even more crazy because you see like people actually just exploit the whole hero. It's not all everyone wants to be good and shit. You can definitely see that from characters like Bakugo, but they use it basically just to make it nice earning. It's like when, well, there's going to be heroes, there's going to be fucking villains going around as well. I like that it's just like not every hero is just like, oh, I want to protect the world and stuff. It's like, no, I want to get some fucking paper out of this. This seems like a good fucking deal. I got this power for free and I could be making some money off it. Like, I kind of like that kind of concept for out, and I definitely want to say like, comparing it for like Barrage, it feels like the more comic type like, and that's the thing, I've only recently just gone into comic books more. I've been reading more of the DC stuff with the Batman and the Constantine stuff, but definitely when I first read this stuff when it first came out, I was like, I really like his other series. I really like Barrage a lot more, and I can definitely say, comparing the first like chapters of each, this one's a lot more funny and a lot more wackier. Barrage was a little bit more fucked up and a little bit more interesting in the first chapter. So regardless of what, they're both in their own way like really interesting, and then definitely what it got even better when you get to see the actual hero, the first number one hero, and like basically his number one like fucking fad as well, that is Deku. It's like you get to see All Might, which All Might is just this big ass buff ass motherfucker, and he's like, I'm glad I got people like you to support me, and he just attacks the fucking tentacle monster that was like unraveling around Deku, and it was like pretty cool. And it even takes like try to takes over like Bakugo. He's like, oh, I got a fucking power, and like it even comes to the point when he's like, I'm useless, and like basically All Might is like the one that kind of has to say, like, you know, I'm, you know, even though you haven't got a power and shit, it's like, yeah, don't worry, you're still fucking cool. And it's like, finding that even All Might is not even perfect as well. It's like, you know, he got attacked like 5 years ago by a certain villain. He's like really fucked up his body, and now he can't really use, like, I think he said he can only use his like a power for like 3 hours a day, and he's like pretty much losing it each, like, and every time he keeps using it. It's like, he's basically like, although people think he's like the best hero in the fucking world, he's like number one, he can't keep this up for much longer because he's losing it. And it's like, I just love that about him. It's like, he's a very flawed hero, even though like everyone thought, oh, he's the perfect person and everything's going down. It's like, and I liked it that, you know, fucking it was up to Deku to pretty much say like his friend like Bakugo, where you saw like he was there like screaming for fucking help, like when he was like mixed up with that monster, and he was like, please fucking help me. And just Deku, without having no fucking powers, no nothing, he just goes in fucking running and tries to fucking like get that fucking monster off him. And it's like, that's kind of like what made like fucking like All Might saying, you know what, I've reached my limit, but fuck it, I don't care about my limits. And he fucking goes out, fucking blood coming out, and he's just like goes, Detroit, smash, and just fucking destroy it. I was like, that's a really cool thing where you just see the like fucking power smash just hit fucking everything. It's just this big vibration, and it's just like Bakugo at the end is like, oh shit, you kind of, what's up to you? I do owe you. But it's like, he got extremely pissed, and I think that's definitely one thing that you see from it. Like, you know, you're gonna have sort of like maybe a Naruto, Sasuke, sort of like underdog, sort of like, you know, cool person that's already got all his powers, already like got a step ahead of Deku. Is like, yeah, definitely you can see that throughout this, but I really did like just the ending of this, saying you can become a hero. So definitely, I gotta say, I really did like the first chapter of it, and definitely rereading it, I appreciated the first chapter a lot more than what I did the first time, because now I've got more clear in mind. I've read a lot more other series, and not to mention as well, there's a lot of this series. I think reading this in a bulk at the start is a lot better than how it was at the start. I don't think I could have kept up with Academia one chapter at a time when it was in a weekly release at this point. Now it's a kind of better moment because it's getting into more interesting, and a lot more things being set up. The world, the characters, the arcs, the villains, like a lot more things that have been set up, which I really don't want to go more into. Obviously, we'll be talking about them later in the chapters, like that we go throughout this, because I will be talking about these, you know, once a day. So, you know, you look forward to like me talking about a lot of this, and this is going to be for a long while. We're going to be going through this about a month, over like a month and a bit. So yeah, guys, we're going to be like, here for a while, and I definitely want to test like going more into some more longer series. Like, definitely this is going to be the longest one I've been talking about, you know, on a daily routine. So I'm really looking forward to talking about Academia like this. And basically, it was a really good first chapter. Like, the art is completely different from what we normally get from Jump. It's going for the more, obviously, kind of comic books, like what you see from, like, DC and, like, Marvel kind of look, combining it with, like, also, like, the Japanese manga style. I like that, and introducing the heroes is something that's different from it. Like, I don't remember the last time I've seen a series that actually incorporated, like, heroes like that, apart from Tiger and Bunny, like, which was a kind of like huge parody on the whole point. And like, you know, they even promoted them as fucking superheroes as well, with all the fucking promotions and shit that they had on them. So other than that, yeah, this was a nice surprise, honestly, to go into, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the other chapters. Catching up with Academia, this is something I definitely want to do for a while, because Academia has really caught my interest for a while, especially when I ran into those first 20 years. I was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I definitely want to do an impressions, and I was really thinking about talking about it, but I had other stuff going on the way at that time, and you know, I'm quite busy at the moment as well, going from like work and other shit. But it's like, regardless of, I want to start talking about this now, and I don't think it's that hard to talk about a chapter a day of this thing, and I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, let me know in the comments section down below if you already read Academia, what you think about and the current stuff. If you're new to it, like I am, then boy, get ready for a ride, because you know, this series has some really good stuff to it. And then it has some flaws as well, which I'm pretty sure you're going to notice later on in other reviews. But I think definitely through a solid, like, chapter 1, an 8. I think definitely an 8 it deserves. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about My Hero Academia chapter 1. And, you know, like, see like what you think in the comment section down below. I believe the first volume should be coming out soon, so look forward to that, guys. But that's all from me, so thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.